ReZero Season 3 has been absolutely incredible thus far. After this episode, I am impressed with how well that they've developed characters like Garfield, who continues to be one of the best things about this series, hands down. But there is a lot to discuss in this episode, so let's jump in and break down everything. Also, I have a challenge. Last video we had 230 likes, so if we can get this video to 250, that would really make my day. You guys have no idea. So we gotta talk about Regulus. This is the first time that we've really gotten a true glimpse at this guy's personality, and it's repulsive to say the least. In short, he thinks Subaru not introducing himself is a violation of his rights. So as my good friends at Studio Reverie say, this guy is a massive Karen. He's just missing the haircut and minivan, honestly. And what I do really like, however, is that it seems even Regulus and Sirius aren't on the same sides. This makes things very interesting plot-wise, as this shows there to be factions on the antagonist side than just having that for the protagonists. It also allows for better and just more compelling storytelling. Case in point, the interaction between these two whack jobs is just really cool. Crazy Karen versus totally not crazy Fortuna and bandages. It's a really interesting visual. I mean, Sirius attacks don't even land on him, and then to make matters worse, the new ability Subaru and Biko made is very cool, but doesn't quite work on him either. And it just goes to show that even with a great spirit on their side, it's not enough, even just for Regulus. But I gotta say, I did get a crack out of Subaru calling Emilia his waifu, and usually I kind of like side glance cringe at the weeb stuff because sometimes it's too forced in certain series, but man, they nailed it in this one. I loved it. It was freaking hilarious and totally Subaru. I also love how Biko tells Regulus he's better off dead. God, I did not at all expect Subaru and Biko to be this dynamic duo with funny quips, but here we are, and I am totally here for it. However, we gotta discuss the big question coming out of this episode, the identity of Sirius, as people are very obviously catching on to who she probably is. After Subaru uses his powers, Sirius madly proclaims that her love has returned, and a lot of what she says is just rambling madness, but there are 2 points I need to mention. One is that she calls Emilia a half-witch, and the other is that her description of the final moments between Betelgeuse and Fortuna is very similar to what we saw in Emilia's trials, and to me, that means it's very clearly Fortuna. The hair color matches the description, the fact that she knows Betelgeuse, and the fact that she knows Emilia by calling her the half-witch, which is something that she's been called all of her life as a slur. I mean, this is very clearly, painfully clear that it's Fortuna. I mean, it would also explain why she attacked Regulus too, as the last we saw, they were kind of in the middle of a conflict, weren't they? But I want to hear your thoughts on this in the comments below, because I know it's sort of like a big topic in this community. Do you think Sirius is actually Fortuna? I'm a partner with GamerSupps. Use code CTactics and get 10% off all orders site-wide, whether it be shakers, nutritious snacks, which by the way are to die for, they are so good, or flavors like anime girl thighs, Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Energy, or beyond. On the fence, you can even use my code to order free samples. No money, you don't gotta spend any. They're free. But Regulus leaves, inviting Subaru to his wedding with Emilia, and proceeds to decimate his leg after a casual kick on the ground. And you see the effect this has on the crowd. All of them have their legs decimated like Subaru's, as Biko, with a worried face, looks onward, trying to desperately heal him. And all of this was a great way to show the threat that these two people pose. And after this, I get the feeling that this isn't something that the Emilia camp can solve all alone. Once again, playing into my theory that all of the factions are going to have to work together to defeat the witch cult. We then get a poignant moment with Garfield and Mimi as she asks if he will go to his mother, that now he's found out that she is alive this entire time. So they do, they pay a visit, and this scene is just, man, it is so raw for Garfield. Honestly, if I didn't know better, I thought I was chopping onions while watching this. But in every way, it seems his family is trying to pull him back in, welcoming him with warmth. His mom remembers what tea he likes, the kids don't want him to leave. It's just such a warm feeling, and I can't imagine what it must be like to be the only person to remember when his mother doesn't, but also still does subconsciously. So of course, he runs out and just sprints. once. And once again, the spirit of Elsa haunts Garfield. So, I mean, once is coincidence, second time is a fluke. I mean, if she appears again like this in another episode, I'm guessing she's sticking around as a part of Garfield's inner self. Or heck, this is ReZero. She may actually be inside Garfield's head through some curse or contract or something. Either way, I find this to be one of the most compelling aspects of season 3 thus far. I love that they brought Elsa back just for this. And the second best thing of this series is, well, it's also with Garfield, his relationship with his mother. After he gets back up, his mother and her husband catch up with him along with Mimi. We learn that this woman is 100% his mother pretty much, as he found Liara with no memory. So the husband asks his relation to her, to which he swallows the truth down and tells him he doesn't know her in a very, very sad moment. Which, at the same time, I don't know. Garfield literally tells him her true name right then and there. So if I was him, I wouldn't buy what he's saying for a second, what he's selling. However, Liara arrives and gives him some sawari in a basket. And then we get this incredible sequence right after where Mimi consoles the heartbroken Garfield. And I also love how Mimi says that she is the woman who fell in love with Garfield, and since men can only cry into the bosom of the one they love, then she loves her, and so she must cry into her bosom. I like this because this was Mimi trying to play to what Garfield knows best, his inner masculine side. Mimi gave Garfield a plausible way out to feel comfortable crying. I didn't take this as the show telling men that they can only cry into a pair of breasts. No, that's ridiculous. This was just Mimi trying to explain something in a way only Garfield would understand, grasp, and then feel comfortable with and let go those feelings. Great moment though. I think it shows that Garfield is a very tough cookie and can keep things inside, but that's the thing, the outside is tough, but the insides, oh, are they tender. And that's kind of ironic, isn't it? Elsa is the bowel hunter, so I think that is a very fitting thematic way to tie Elsa into the Garfield character. Afterwards, Mimi and Garfield go to sit to eat the sawari as a strange childlike voice comes over the loudspeakers. It's Capella Emirata Lugunica, Lust, and a character that makes Liliana seem like the most chill person alive. And believe me, we will get to know her very well very soon. But it's revealed after Subaru woke up that Biko is in a deep sleep over healing Subaru's leg. So it seems she's out of the battle for at least a little bit. As well, we get some interactions between Subaru, Al, and Felix, which is also awesome too. I think the cool thing about all of these factions being in one city is that we get those interesting moments between faction members. But what's most important is that it seems that the witch cult is after one thing: the witch's remains, which have been rumored to be buried somewhere in the city. Not only that, but they've taken control of all of the towers around the city, which are key to essentially controlling a lot of what the city does. So if I'm to opine for a minute, I believe that what the witch cult ultimately wants is the witch's remains to gain access to her powers or bring her back to life. However, we also know that Satella herself is a very interesting person who doesn't seem all that evil either, at least to Subaru, right? So I imagine reviving her would not be advantageous to them because it's still kind of up in the air. She could just be a very morally gray character. But if they do revive her, well, why not control her memories to then use her powers for evil? Then yeah, I would probably see that being a plausible outcome. However, much like how Sirius is very clearly Fortuna in my opinion, I think Satella is also very clearly Amelia, seeing as they look exactly the same. So my crackpot theory is that they'll find her tomb, find it's empty, but then that tomb contains some sort of knowledge which further connects the dots between Amelia and Satella, and even ultimately unlocking new powers for them, and maybe even reviving Rem on top of that. That would be very interesting. Either way, ReZero Season 3 is shaping up as one of the finest yet. I am really invested in this plot revolving around the witch cult, Regulus, Sirius, and now the new and mysterious Capella. But the best part, as always, is the interpersonal drama with characters like Garfield that keeps me coming back. So the last video got 230 likes, but I think we can outdo it. Let's get this video to 250 and show that the ReZero community can be a positive force for change, and they're all not just negative and miserable people. As well, use code CTactics and get 10% off all orders for gamer subs. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.